I can go on that unless you have a question.
No, I have a question. Hang on, I'll get something more pointed than that. So, hang on, let me see. So, my goal is to dissolve my false self and to, as we talked about yesterday, the quote that I took from your blog about harmonizing the personality and the higher self. So, I guess my question is in regards to that, um, fast tracking the process to avoid detours and to just stay on the road and go straight towards the destination of achieving that.
Okay. So what I'm getting is foundational wise, we always have to keep in perspective that, okay, and now words are tricky. So I'm using analogies, and I'm using analogies that a lot of people have used. But basically, the foundation or the crux of switching paradigms, and like you said that you wanted sort of accelerating the learning or the seeking or the imbibing of the higher self, is to always keep in perspective that your consciousness and your higher self is dreaming this life. And so you are not your thoughts. You are not this body. You are beyond that. You are the dreamer having a dream. And everything that's reflected in your reality is either in alignment with the dreamer or not. But the dreamer goes through the dreaming. And so whatever you see in your outside reality comes through the dreaming back to the dreamer. And whenever you feel a negative emotion, it's because you're not in alignment with the dreamer of the dream. So that's the foundational basis for existence. When you identify yourself with situations that are outside of yourself and you feel like you want to complain or you're frustrated about a situation, and this goes back to like how the guy said that his desperation became his inspiration, is because the mechanics of what you're seeing outside, if it's a negative emotion that you're attaching to it, reminds you that you're not aligned to your true self. This universal being or this consciousness self, the framework of existence, has only 5 laws. And I think in one of our first channelings, we had spoken about this, but I'll repeat them now. And if you want, we can go deeper into them. One is you exist. So basically you're an extension of source energy in this physical body. Everything is here and now. So whenever your consciousness is focusing on something from the past or from the future, it's bringing that frequency in your present moment. So if you keep replaying old things in your head and things that you don't necessarily, or not necessarily feeling positive towards, that vibration is in the present moment. And the third one of the third or the fourth law is you get back what you put out. So if you're thinking about all of these maybe anxious situations in the future, the fear of the future or past wrongs, and you have negative emotion, this is what you're feeling in your present moment. And this is what consciousness attaches itself to and brings you more of. So you exist, everything is here and now. You get back what you put out, or you reap what you sow vibrationally. And the one is the all, and the all is the one. So you are identity, and everybody else also in your reality is also identity. But beyond that, we are all this one consciousness vibrating at different frequencies and different vantage points to experience whatever we need or we want to experience. So when you can relax into that state of being beyond the thoughts, you experience the nothingness, but the richness of the nothingness out of which everything arises. And the meta learning is simply being in your center or your home frequency as best as you can, and trusting or knowing that everything that you need to know, you will know when you need to know it. So we've been taught to, rehearse, remember, plan, and all these kinds of things. But in doing so, and then we, from there, we've extrapolated marketing strategies and learning strategies and different psychologies and different behaviors. And, we should be doing this and that and this and that. But all that stems from the core wound or the core suffering, which is that we have forgotten that we are always connected to that which gave birth to us. And as soon as we heal this mental split and get back to our essence and trust that life has its own timing and that this conscious energy is intelligent and organizing, it's the energy that creates worlds and planets and this universe, this perfectly balanced universe, and the perfect geometry of the sun with the planets. And it's the energy that regenerates a cut when we cut ourselves. It's the energy that grows fetuses inside the mother's wombs. And if we come into silence and just meditate on that, or just contemplate it for like 5 minutes a day, just to start, and to feel that bliss, really, and to trust that that bliss will come through us. We bathe in it. We're like fish in water, but our water is the ether, the air, the space. And that space is not empty, it's full of frequencies. So when you come back to that silence and trust that that organizing energy also runs through you, and if you take the time to listen to it and to trust in it, everything in your life will unfold within the parameters of its perfection. But we've been socially conditioned to get out of that state of being, to control, manipulate, influence, gather, compete, step on, and so on and so forth, for fear of, we don't know what, for fear of survival or death, or and so on. But you never die. You're really an infinite being. So if at the core of yourself, you really contemplate this and you really start to directly know and start to directly experience that you are this consciousness, this infinitely intelligent consciousness having an experience, and that you have the free will to either recognize this connection or not, and just, live your life according to whatever beliefs you believe, you'll have basically forged the key to your well-being. And it's important to remember that our bodies and our minds are inside our consciousness. And so this consciousness gave birth to us, but it's always feeding us. It's not as if like this consciousness made a ball and just threw us in our reality or on the earth and then, severed the link. we're always in in consciousness. And it's always there. And every time we don't feel good, because there are only two emotions, the ones that make you feel good and the ones that make you feel uncomfortable or bad. So when you feel good, you're connected to the stream, and the stream, it supports you, it loves you, it's the driving force of your evolution. It's what makes the trees grow, it's what makes the seasons change, it's, you know, again, what keeps this planet in perfect balance. And you have this through you. You are this manifested in a specific reality. And so, you know, you have the physical body and the mind that are limited. The body is limited to the senses, and the mind can be unlimited, but it's sort of limited by the thought patterns and the belief systems and the whole social conditioning and the environment in which you grew up in. And so it's got this frame, your frame of mind, through which consciousness continually passes through. So again, when you feel a negative emotion, and I'm coming back to it, when you feel a negative emotion, it's just because your individualized awareness or your thoughts or your senses are not in alignment with that which you truly are. And so that's why we say that we create our reality, because you have the free will to either see and be influenced by source and by who you truly are, or you can be under the influence of your mind, your thought patterns, your beliefs, and the social conditioning that you were privy to or that you've had in your environment.
What are some practical everyday tools that we can use to help this integration or this harmonization to occur as rapidly as possible, and to sustain? That's the issue that I have, is sustaining the higher frequency moments, sustaining the flow, sustaining the merging of the two selves.
Right. So obviously, like, meditation and contemplation are great. Meditation, you know, a lot of people are scared of meditation. They're like, I don't want to sit and be with my thoughts, but you can download amazing guided meditations that will do just the trick. I obviously promote yoga nidra meditations. They're really meant for this. They're really meant to relax the body and the mind enough so that you can start feeling pure consciousness coming through your body. And the more you practice it, the more you recognize it, and the more it's like a muscle, right? Your body is like a tool. Your body is the tool. It's the translating tool. And so the better you sharpen that tool through meditation, or for me, what I advertise as yoga nidra meditations, the more you practice it, the more you sharpen your tool, and the better you are at listening to your intuitions and listening at what's coming through. But essentially, your guidance system is perfect already. And so if you are not necessarily, you don't necessarily want to meditate or are not in the mood, so now I'm going to make a little parentheses. There's the book by Abraham Hicks. Actually, Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks wrote the book, and Esther Hicks channels Abraham. Ask and it is given. And at the end of that book, you have a series of like 22 different processes that you can do to help you to hone into that home frequency. So there's that. And there's also, just like I said, your guidance system, your emotions are your vibrational guidance system. And so your body is a tool, and the tool is to translate these vibrations. And so when you have a negative emotion, it's yourself telling you to yourself that you're not in vibrational alignment with all that is, because all that is joyful and it's expansive and it feels good, because when you're relaxed and you feel good, you grow and you evolve. And that's what we are. We're like the flowers and the plants and the trees were meant to grow. We're not meant to be constrictive, but we're meant to be expansive. So when you have a negative emotion, I sent you the PDF with the emotional scale. So, you can see facing a certain situation where you are emotionally on the scale. And you can use the processes at the end of the Ask and It Is Given book, or let's say you're seeing a situation from a depressive point of view. I'm going to try to get an example. Okay, so let's say you don't have a lot of money and your car just broke down. And so you're depressed about that. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have enough money to get my car to get fixed. I have to bring my daughter to daycare, and I have all these things that I have to do. And if I have no car, I'm not as independent. I'm not as free. And so you're in sort of a depressive mode or depressive emotion regarding that situation. And then what you can do is you can get angry about it, which will give you some of the relief that you feel from your depressed state, because it'll stir up the energy and be like, fucking shit, why did my fucking car break down? Why do these things always goddamn happen to me? And blah, blah, blah. And so you can get angry at it, which stirs you out of your depressive state. And then you can get frustrated. Oh, Jesus Christ, how am I going to figure this out? And, I've already borrowed some money from my parents and they're not going to give me any more money. And then so you can move to being overwhelmed with, well, and then now this car, and then, my dishwasher is going to break soon. And, this house is falling apart, and then you can blame and get the relief from the blame. And then you'd be like, well, my ex-boyfriend gave me this car for sure. It has to break in my hands. And for him, it ran perfectly. But for me, it has to break, and so on. And I'm so unlucky, and so on. And then you can maybe move into hope and just, dear God, I just, things in my life sometimes kind of really worked out the exact way I wanted them to. And so I don't know what to do. So, just send me a sign, send me something. And, I really need this car, and hopefully, I'll find the money to get it repaired. Or, wouldn't it be nice if I just, want a new car? Or, if somebody said, oh, I'm just starting out and getting to start fixing cars for a living. So you know what, I'll take this car and I'll give you the car I just fixed. And because this one has a problem that I don't know how to solve, and, I want to work on it, or something like that. And then you go into hope, and then appreciation maybe of that hope that's coming. And so you move up the emotional scale, and you can do that with any situation in your life that you're having a hard time to see. So things to help you out: processes, meditation, moving up the emotional scale, getting the book and doing the processes at the end of the book, which include these two processes that I've just talked about. Contemplation, just journaling, just writing down all of your thoughts. A lot of people get up in the morning and they're so crammed with information, and they already start getting headaches, and they just write everything. And it's just the process of vomiting everything out really lightens your body up. And because, like I said before, you are vibrational, you are operating at the perfect frequency à la base. Foundationally, you're perfect. Babies are born perfect, but it's all the layers that we put on them of the social conditioning. They need to go to school, they need to do this, they need to play with these kids and not play with those kids, and I don't like their parents, and then they have to go to school, and then they have to pick a career, and then they have to stay with that career, and then they have to get the kids, and then they have to take care of the kids, and the whole fucking thing, and it's those layers of the onions that we keep putting on everybody that hinder your light. It becomes so dense that your light can't shine through. So it's not about learning something, it's about unbecoming everything that you are, and sort of that you peel the onion and you just vibrate at your natural frequency. So by vomiting everything that you have, like all of this stuff, will just clean up your whole vibration, and so that your light can just shine perfectly. Abraham says this a lot, you know, it's like you're holding a cork, the cork under the water, and once you just let go of the cork, it just pops back up to the surface and floats like it's supposed to. Same thing with us. And so when you have a negative emotion, just like one last thing, when you're feeling that negative emotion, just stop for a minute, just 1 minute, and just remind yourself that you're not connected to who you truly are, and that you have the free will to look somewhere else or to work through that emotion. And we talked about this also, you know, sometimes we're emotional beings, we're vibrational beings, and sometimes it could happen that you see something that gets you like really frustrated, and you'll say something like, what the fuck was that? Or what an asshole, or, you know, and therein doesn't lie the problem of how you reacted. But if there's emotional residue regarding the way that you reacted, so don't go beat yourself up just because, you know, you got road rage. You know, if that road rage cleared something else and it didn't really necessarily hurt anybody, and it was just out and it made you feel good, and there's no residue, that's perfect. You exploded to get yourself back into alignment, and you did, and that was fine.
Thank you.